looked at through this lens. The mosaics are in every sense superior to the crockery, no matter how artful, from which it was made. And that intrinsic in the process of making them were human souls evolving onto higher planes of being. The muse did not descend. The muse rose up within these women and ascended, evolving matter and evolving spirit as it went up and up, as sacred as any prayer, as any dream of heaven. Why does the muse ascend? Why does Chardin assume this upward direction of inspiration and evolution? Well, he says that the universe moves in the direction of more complex arrangements and higher consciousness because there must exist ahead of the moving universe and pulling it along a higher pole of supreme consciousness, which he called the omega point, for all intents and purposes, God. In short, everything that rises must converge, something every geometry student knows. There's no question that Teilhard was a genuine genius, reinterpreting many disciplines in his work, including theology, sociology, metaphysics, around this understanding of the universe. His main focus was to reassure the converging mass of humanity not to despair, but to trust the evolution of consciousness as it rises through them. As a Jesuit priest, you can imagine, his work got him into serious trouble with the church. So maybe the universe, which seems so pitiless, so grindingly indifferent, so indifferent to bushfires and earthquakes and what they wreak upon human beings, conscious of their suffering, is neither cold, nor empty, nor indifferent. Though we are caught up in forces larger than our own individual suffering lives, nothing is lost, nothing destroyed, and everything evolves toward creation more fully realizing itself. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, as we say, but we are not just ash. We are a complex arrangement of ash, complex enough to be conscious of itself, and that consciousness too, like the yeast in the dough, seeks also for wholeness and unity. As I wrote those thoughts, looking around at my cluttered desk in my study, I felt in my gut that there was much truth in this perspective. My desk is a mess. I have a legal pad, several pages scrawled in an evolving outline, organizing what I'm trying to say here. I have a moleskin notebook, which I use for longer reflective passages. And scattered around the computer, there's a printer and wires and pens and lighters and coffee cups and books from which I've scavenged scraps and shards of thought. Rollo May's The Courage to Create, Teilhard de Chardin's Phenomenology, Ben Okri's wonderful book on writing, A Way of Being Free, our Unitarian hymnal, my wife Susan's book on Australian heritage, which furnished those testimonies about the mosaics and the seed of the talk, a volume of Louis MacNeice's poetry, and on and on. It's a seeming mess, without form and void, as was the earth before the Spirit moved upon the waters. But lifting this chaos up into form, I recognize in me a deep yearning for form, for a sense of wholeness. And in this, if Teilhard is right, what I feel is not so much an indomitable but vain will to meaning. No, it is nothing less than the tidal pull of a remote and mysterious and so far unknowable God. All our lives proceed like this, I think. Not a formula for managed success, but a mosaic, improvised from what we have or what we are left with. Things happen to us, memories and objects accrue, and we strive to make sense and possibly even beauty from what we have, pulled toward beauty and meaning until, in the end, we've made a life, a testament, for better or worse, to our own inexorable self. The bushfire mosaics and all human art in striving for beauty and meaning seem to me at this moment more fundamentally sacred than any sacrament, more fundamentally sacred than any fervent prayer, more fundamentally sacred than the sum total of all the mumbled Our Fathers and Hail Marys, of all the hypnotically chanted verses of the Quran, of all the intoned Om Shanti that ever existed since the beginning of time. Their prayer, made of scorched earthenware, melted glass, shards of slate roof tile, lumps of masonry, and most importantly, the spirit that pervades all of creation and us. May we bless them. May we venerate the spirit that brought them into being. And may we always strive to do likewise. Amen.